When we tap on a contact in the master view, we go to a detail view that is going to show us information about a single contact. If all we're doing is showing information about one contact only, why do we have a table view as the detail view? You might be thinking, I thought table views were used to show dynamic content, where any number of items can be displayed in a list as long as those items are of a particular model. That is correct, but table views can be used in more than one way, which is why they are so versatile. The table view we use in our master view is a dynamic table view with a plain style. So head over to the storyboard scene if you're not there already and select the table view. So we're selecting the master one. Again, this might be easier using the document outline. In the Attributes Inspector, you can see that first, the style of the table view is listed as plain. A table view in the plain or regular style displays rows that stretch across the screen with a default white background. A plain table view can have one or more sections, sections can have one or more rows, and each section can have its own header or footer title. We haven't talked about headers or footers yet, but we'll get there. When the user scrolls through a section with many rows, the header of the section floats to the top of the table view, and the footer of the section floats to the bottom. Table views exhibit another style in addition to plain, and that is a grouped style. A grouped table view also displays a list of information, but it groups related rows in visually distinct sections. Since iOS 7, the group style is more or less the plain style, but with spacing between each section that's colored gray. The Settings app is a perfect example of what a grouped table view looks like. In addition to having styles, which are ways to display content, a table view can also display two kinds of content, static or dynamic. In our storyboard scene for the master, you can click again on the table view, and in the Attributes Inspector, see at the top that we've specified dynamic prototypes for the content. Dynamic content works in the way we just saw and implemented. We don't know how many instances of that type of data will be shown eventually, so we design a single prototype and rely on matching up data with the prototype for each row. All of the cells are going to look the same, just like the prototype. Dynamic content, though, isn't the only type of content we want to display in a table view. We can also use table views to display static content. Static content is content where we have a fixed number of rows that we know at compile time, at the time we're writing our code. Again, the Settings page is a good example of static content. When you open a particular page in the Settings app, let's say the General Settings, the list of settings in there never changes. It is always fixed, meaning the number of rows are always known ahead of time. This is exactly how we want to set up the Contact Detail controller as a static table view. The fields we want to display for each contact, in our case at least, are always known ahead of time because for one, there is a set number of fields, and secondly, each field isn't the same. We're going to be displaying the email address on one field with one label, the phone number on another, so we can't use the same prototype. In the storyboard scene, click on the Contact Detail scene, make sure you select the table view, and then switch on the content type from dynamic prototypes to static cells. What this does, as you can see, is it gives us a fixed number of cells to work with. We can now treat these cells as individual views more or less and design them in a storyboard scene rather than using a single prototype. But even with static content, we don't want this long list of cells, which is what the plain style gives us. If you run the app right now and click on a particular contact to go to the detail view, the table view is still going to show enough cells to fill up a single screen's worth. And that's because that is what the plain style means. Even if we only want one row in here, by specifying plain, by default, the table view is just going to create enough rows to fill up the screen. We don't want that. So let's go back to the table view, select it, and we're going to change the style to grouped. So now you see 3 cells here. We'll ignore that. But if you run the app now and navigate to the detail view, let's try that again. Build and run. Okay, there we go. So if we run the app again, We navigate to the detail view. Okay, so we don't have a long list of cells, but we don't have any cells either. And that's because the information we're providing in here, inside the storyboard scene, doesn't match up with the implementation of the data source methods in the table view controller itself. Let's figure that out in the next video.